Chris Cantwell and Ruari Coleman dive into Hellcat's complicated love life as she explores an old family home that is full of sinister secrets. Chris Cantwell diverts from his Iron Man-centric story with a Hellcat-centric annual which serves to catch people up on the woman's rather complicated love life and explore the reasons why she was so hesitant to accept Tony's proposal. I enjoyed seeing Cantwell wrestle with Patsy's life and the multiple, rather complex storylines she's had to deal with over the decades, from werewolf boyfriends to marrying the literal son of Satan, but he manages to wrangle it all together into a coherent, fun little adventure that puts Patsy in the forefront. The book even briefly ties into what Jason Aaron is constructing over in his Avengers run, with Mephisto readying for a big war, and Damon Hellstrom constructing this entire trap for Patsy so he can try and recruit her to his side of that war. It was very fun to see that plot point tying in together like this, and something I didn't actually expect to happen. Ruari Coleman provides very clean, well-constructed artwork for the annual, relying on lots of shadows and dark scenes, being the book is mostly set in a dreary, dusty hell house, and I like that it was offset by Patsy's bright yellow and blue Hellcat costume, almost like she's kind of like this light in the darkness. Iron Man Hellcat Annual Issue 1 was a fun Patsy Walker focused issue that helped lay out the woman's complicated love life through a fun romp into hell. I'm going to give this issue a 9 out of 10. Iron Man Hellcat Annual Issue 1 sees Patsy and Tony get married and the happy couple have their first dance together. Tony is glad that Patsy changed her mind and Patsy knows third time's the charm, as Dr. Doom meanwhile tells Silver Surfer that Patsy reminds him of Ginger Rogers, and Norrin agrees, thinking that she does everything Tony Stark does but backwards and in heels. However, Doom was thinking more of her red hair. Norrin reminds him that Ginger Rogers was a blonde as the cake cutting begins, and the couple cut into the cake but the knife breaks. Tony tells Patsy to use her claws, which suddenly appear on her hand. She uses it to slash open the cake, which appears to be rotten from the inside, as Patsy awakens from her nightmare on a plane, throwing up in one of the air sickness bags. The man next to her asks if she is okay, and Patsy puts it down to bad airline food. The man recognizes her, having grown up reading all of her mother's books about Patsy and how he had the biggest crush on her. He tries to ask her out for a drink, but Patsy slaps him, reminding the man that she's a telepath and she knew what he was really thinking. After getting off the plane, Patsy meets with her friend Hetty Wolf, who comments about her rather loud-looking carry-on suitcase actually belonging to her. Patsy thinks it's sweet her friend is picking her up, but she could have just gotten a cab, but Hetty knows that it's been ages since they caught up and wants to hear all about her life. As they cross the San Francisco Bridge, Patsy listens to Hetty's current going-ons, barely listening until Hetty brings up the old house Patsy just inherited from her family, and Patsy thinks that her mother was keeping it off the books, but the estate lawyers have been trying to get a hold of her for months. However, she's been busy in outer space with Iron Man. They arrive at the dilapidated house as Patsy tells Hetty that it's called the Old McConnell Manor, named after her mother's maiden name. Finding herself surprised it's actually there since she was told it burnt down when her mother was a child, wondering why she would lie about that. Heading inside, they find it fully furnished, albeit very dusty. Hetty asks what Patsy plans to do with it, since they could just refurbish it and sell it, but Hetty suggests building a secret base under it and maybe her new boy toy Spaulding could help out with it. Patsy gets upset, knowing if Hetty bothered to invest a single second of her life in Patsy, she would know that Patsy can read minds, which means Patsy knows that Spaulding left Hetty weeks ago. Hetty isn't pleased with Patsy poking around in her mind, so Patsy apologizes, saying Tony and her are taking a break now as well, thanks to Tony proposing to her, and between Damon Hellstrom and Buzz Baxter, she is twice divorced to a demonic evil man. Hetty reminds her about how she was also married to a monster who literally ate a child on their honeymoon. Hetty also reveals that she lost her job recently as well, since she didn't invite Kenny G to a smooth jazz album launch. She knows that she could use a friend and Patsy could use one as well, so they decide to stay at the old house and fix it up. Sometime later, Patsy hears a noise coming from the attic, heading up to find an old box of her things, including her stuffed bunny Buttons. Patsy shows it to Hetty, who thinks that it's a very dirty toy and it's a shoe-in for mites. She suggests that they have a movie night after finding an old VCR, but Patsy decides to go to bed thanks to the jet lag, turning in with Buttons. Later on, Patsy awakens during the night, finding she overslept, but upon getting out to check on Hetty, she finds the woman's bed covered in blood. Patsy races to her phone, calling Tony and telling him what is wrong. Tony says he'll suit up and be there in 33 minutes as Buttons comes to life, telling Patsy to use her claws and to hurry since she will be late. Patty demands to know what's going on and what he's talking about as she falls unconscious. She awakens in what seems like a party, finding herself in a familiar place. She spots her grandfather, her great aunt, an uncle, and great-great-grandmother, making her realize that she has joined her long-dead relatives. Iron Man, meanwhile, arrives at the house, speeding upstairs and finding the passed-out Patsy, as Buttons says that he cannot wake her since she is where she belongs. Patsy, meanwhile, is reunited with her dead mother, who says that she missed her greatly, but she shouldn't be there. Buzz Baxter, Patsy's first ex-husband, also appears, knowing the woman couldn't stay away from him. He grabs her, but Patsy goes to leave with her mother. However, Buzz grabs her arm hard, transforming into a werewolf as Patsy realizes that she isn't in the manor, she's in hell. Iron Man, meanwhile, tells Buttons to wake her up, but he says only Patsy has the power to return. Tony asks if he can go in to help Patsy, so Buttons offers to send him in, touching Tony's arm and causing him to fall asleep. Patsy, meanwhile, battles Buzz, who pushes her into a fireplace, but all it does is ruin her dress. Patsy demands to know where Hetty is, learning that she is the guest of honor, as in the next room, the Blood Scourges have made a mess of the guest room when they fought to bring Hetty down by force, since she put up a bit of a fight. Patsy asks who Buzz is working for as Blackheart appears, telling Patsy that he holds all of the McConnell clan in hell with him since Patsy's mother promised her daughter to him, but she refused him. Patsy realizes why her mother died, since Blackheart took her instead of her, as Blackheart reveals that he and Mephisto charge interest when it comes to defaulted debts, so now he owns all of her family and stole Hetty to get Patsy's attention. Blackheart says that he will free them all, but only if Patsy agrees to stay, since hell is her true home and she is stronger there and will become a captain in Mephisto's army for the big war to come. Patsy declines, and Blackheart knows that the choice lays with her only, and she must join them willingly since her power is native to the Netherworld. Iron Man arrives, confronting the demon, who knows the hero doesn't understand this place, pitying him as he begins melting Tony's armor on him. Patsy attacks, demanding Blackheart stop, but the demon throws her around the room, letting Buzz attack her. Buttons tells Patsy to use her claws as Hetty frees herself, hitting Blackheart with a chair as he throws her into the melting Iron Man. Patsy pops her claws, using the hell power to attack Blackheart and rip his heart out, destroying it. Patsy and Tony awaken, with Tony knowing that he's sober and this is the worst hangover he has ever had. He assures Patsy that he is fine, but he feels like a roasted marshmallow as Hetty runs in, reuniting with her friend. Patsy thanks Tony for the help, as later he asks if she should really be staying in the house still. Patsy knows that there is more at play there and she needs to look into it as Hetty decides to leave. Tony knows that she tapped into something scary down in hell and she needs to be careful. Patsy promises as Tony leaves, letting her ask her ghostly mother if she is okay. She knows that she and the rest of the family are, as Patsy confronts Buttons, knowing that it is really Damon Hellstrom, who says Mephisto and Blackheart are making a play for the Netherworld, and as the true son of Satan, they see him as a rival heir and forcefully exiled him into the bunny. Patsy isn't happy that she was used in some hell turf war, but Damon says that he still cares for her, wanting Patsy to use her power along with his to become powerful allies and rulers of hell. Patsy merely kicks the toy out of the house, slamming the door and telling herself that like hell, Damon Hellstrom will never use her again.